Okay. Everybody ready to take notes? I see Max. Max is ready to take her notes.
Telling you.
All right. We're gonna give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, see if we can get Renetta in.
Don't wait for her.
Okay. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. We really appreciate and respect your time. And we are going to jump right into our first underwriting training module. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Saturday underwriting session. Whether you're here live with us on Zoom, watching on YouTube, or catching the replay inside our school community, this session is foundational. It's not about spreadsheets yet, and it's not about cap rates, but today is going to be about how investors actually think, because most people come into real estate asking the wrong question. The question I hear most, y'all, is this a deal? Investors don't ask that, operators don't ask that, and capital doesn't ask that. The question that we're going to answer today, and the only question that matters first, is who is this deal for? And why would they say yes? So I think that is the foundational step that we've been missing, because before I go into underwriting any deal, y'all, I'm always already thinking about who my end buyer is before I start underwriting. And I think that I've never truly explained that to you guys. So any comments about that or anything you need clarity on? Eladia, I saw you unmute.
Yeah, so that is more so what we've been talking about, as in you're keeping your solution in your back pocket.
Yes.
So before you even start talking to anyone, you already know or you already have a set of categories and buckets that you want to guide the conversation towards. So think of it from that perspective, and
Yes.
then use, the questions to be able to guide how you're going to get there. So
Yes. So, guys, if we miss this step of properly categorizing what this deal or who this could potentially be for, everything else we do with underwriting would be guessing, because it's not targeted or geared to the investor that we're looking for. And we're going to break down the different types of investors that buy deals from us so we understand what we're looking for when we start underwriting. So I hope that is clear and that that's helpful for y'all. So why is this a deal is the wrong question. But the truth that rewires everything is a deal does not exist on its own, y'all. A deal only exists in relation to the end buyer. So the same exact property can be a bad deal to one investor, a mediocre deal to another investor, and a home run to somebody like Stacy and I. Have we experienced that, y'all? Have y'all noticed that like this deal doesn't make sense for a certain person type of conversation?
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean it's a bad deal, but who are we gearing it to for it to be a great deal? That's what we want to do at Eminent Estates. Always present great deals to the right investors. Okay. So all three of those answers can be true for one single property. It sucks, it's mediocre, it's a home run. Okay. So most people that are starting off in real estate are not bad at finding properties. So if you ever thought, why does this look like a good deal, but no one wants it? This is why. Okay. So before we start underwriting numbers, we want to underwrite the logic behind what we're doing. Okay. Every deal must answer 5 questions clearly and honestly. And we're going to go through those 5 questions so that before we start underwriting any deals, we're going to start self-evaluating and categorizing that property before we get to jump into those numbers. Okay. So question number 1 is, who is this for? We can't just say anymore it's for an investor, it's for a buyer. We're going to be very specific. Okay. So our first avatar is a cash buyer, someone that wants to keep it as a landlord, a buy and hold. Those buyers are kind of hard to come by. Has anybody experienced that?
Yes.
Yes, because okay, a cash buyer that's a landlord is someone that most likely has a good chunk of change stashed away somewhere, right? That they're willing to put all into one property to hold that property and to rent it out. That's a long-term play. That's somebody who most likely has a lot of money but doesn't have a lot of time. They're going to get that asset and they're going to let the rents offset whatever other income they have because clearly that money that they got came from somewhere, right? These people that have 800,000, a million in the bank account, those folks are hard to come by. That is a great end buyer. Let me explain why this is a great end buyer. They don't need that super, super low margin that fix and flippers need. This person just wants to make sure for the money that they put down that they are getting back a return every single month in their rents. Any questions on that one?
Nope.
Okay. And these buyers are most likely hard to find because it may be a doctor, an attorney, somebody who's always busy, not in Facebook groups, but needs assets to offset all of their income. Okay.
Where do
So
you recommend? Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Where would you recommend we look for these type of buyers?
So these are relationship buyers, right? So I'll give an example. Just happened last night. We have a relationship with a business owner locally, and he owns a very successful, really, really busy business. And his taxes were super high. So he actually ended up buying a $1.4 million apartment building. Now he's ready to buy another one. He has no idea about creative. He has no idea about real estate, but he just knew he had to get something to offset his taxes. So these are people that you talk to that you know may be cash heavy and may be paying a bunch of money in taxes, but they don't have time to stop and learn about real estate. They want you to find them stuff, look and basically do the numbers for the deal, show them if they put X amount of cash in today, in 5 to 10 years, this is what your cash on cash return looks like. And we're going to get into all of that jargon. But great question, Sakura. You find these people at sometimes maybe a local meetup, but really out in your day to day life, looking and searching for opportunities. So, with this training, y'all, we are going to focus on always finding the opportunity and knowing exactly what to look for. All right. So, any questions about our first buyer avatar? You get one of these, you in the pocket. All right. So, and it takes a little bit of time to find those people. Our next buyer avatar is a creative operator. That's Stacy and I. That's people in the sub two community. Any questions about your creative buyer? I need y'all to ask questions and engage so I can answer questions that matter to you and that you may be stuck on, guys. So don't be afraid to unmute and just jump right in. Oh, sorry, Renetta. Okay. Any
So you say,
questions?
so you
Huh?
say it's a level two, which would be you and Stacy. Explain
No,
that a little bit.
it's not a level two. It's a creative operator, meaning that we look at different sets of rules for the deal. So every buyer avatar is looking for something different in the deal. And when we understand that, we can make sure that we have a deal that fits them. So the cash landlord is looking for something totally different than what us as creative finance buyers are looking for in a deal. And
Okay.
and
So how would I spark that conversation up with you?
well, this is the underwriting, so we wouldn't talk about, sparking a conversation with the buyer on this. You know what I mean? Because that's
Okay.
more of like a role play type of situation.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So we want to identify who we are underwriting and looking for first. So a creative operator is somebody who wants a low interest rate. They want some type of term so that they can come in with less upfront cost. And they want to find some type of distress situation so that they can get favorable terms for the property. Okay. What about a fix and flipper, y'all? What do fix and flippers want?
So that wouldn't be someone that's also looking for creative financing, or would they just be looking for something that's super distressed so that they can potentially get the most upside out of it, like a
Yeah.
rehab?
A fix and flipper needs margins. They need to have a property where most likely it needs a lot of renovation. Yes. And they want to see that what the property will sell for on the market, that the price that they're giving in cash or with a hard money lender is about 70% of that margin, because they are accounting for the amount of points that they have to pay to the lender, that they have to borrow the money from for purchase, closing costs, and renovation and holding costs. When you fix and flip, you have to hold the property for at least 3 to 6 months to renovate it, to get permits, to maybe stage it, and then to get it and market it and put it back on the market to get top dollar. So, a fix and flipper needs to make sure that the margins are good enough for them to do all of those things and still make a return in the end. So you may, and sometimes fix and flippers need 50% on the dollar, meaning if a property is $500,000, they want that cash offer or the cash purchase price to be 250,000. That means that they may have about $100,000 in rehab, needs all new major systems, all of that stuff. So every fix and flipper is different and it varies by their area. So that's why you always need to find your buyer first, because they're going to tell you exactly what margins they're comfortable with, or they'll tell you any deal you bring me, I want to make sure I make 40,000 on the back end at a minimum. And when we progress in this training, I will show you how to figure out the cash on cash return, how to figure out the entry costs, how to underwrite it for their, hard money loan and for the agent commission on the back end. Any questions about fix and flippers?
So in this scenario that you're given, the position that we are uniquely placed at would be the finder of these opportunities for these people, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I want the entire team to really understand that's where we are sitting at. You have causality from each particular type of buyer, but in the end, we are the one that's finding or helping them find and orchestrate these plays. So that's the
Yeah.
mindset that you need to have for it.
Right. And this is why we need great buyer relationships, but you don't know if you have a great buyer unless you understand what their strategy is, because I'm gearing what I'm bringing them to enhance and bring them value based on their exit strategy. Is everybody clear on that, or have comments or questions on that part?
So that's more so working towards speaking the solution.
Yes.
So everyone doesn't use the same every situation doesn't use the same solution. So as she's explaining the different types of buyers, you're going to talk to them different. Just like
Yeah.
if you're doing a mathematical equation, if you go into a store, you don't use addition and subtraction for every situation. Some things you have to multiply, some things you have to divide. But it doesn't mean that the math isn't mathing. So you want to be able to decipher who you're talking to in real time and be able to speak the solution to their pain points. And then it'll just start flowing a bit more smoothly after
Yes,
that.
and that's why this is recorded, y'all, so you guys can watch it again and really learn the avatars. When you all are talking to wholesalers, they only have properties for fix and flippers. Usually, a wholesaler is looking for margins so they can add their wholesale fee. So I don't have to really talk to wholesalers when I'm looking for a buy and hold. I might talk to an agent. Wholesalers can bring you a buy and hold, but most likely you're going to have to do the BRRRR strategy. You need to renovate it, all of that stuff. So know who you're looking for and who you're talking to. If I want to find, a creative cash buyer, I'm going to look in a creative type of group. Okay. So the first question is what, guys? Who is this for? I don't want to stay on it too long, but we will keep on continuing talking about these different types of buyers and avatars. But those are your three main buyers: a cash buyer that's going to hold it, a fix and flipper that needs margins, and creative buyers that want great interest rates and terms. Everybody clear on that? Max, you got
Yes.
anything for me?
No.
All right, y'all ready for question number 2?
Yes.
How does it make money? How can we figure out what is this property bringing to the table? So I think Sakura shared a property with us the other day. Had a very low interest rate and it had a pretty good PITI. It was $2,200. But we looked, the people we sent it to, they looked and they said, okay, well, we know this market because we live here, right? We don't know that market as well as them. They said the regular rent here would be about 2,000. So when we know that, we have to look at, it's not going to make money as a long-term rental, right? So how else can this property make money? So that's what we want to figure out. Is it monthly cash flow? Any comments, questions about cash flow and properties?
And so with that, you kind of want to look at the area and what in which you could absolutely use it for.
Mhm.
So in some places you could use it as a vacation home. So if you're talking Virginia Beach, if you're talking Myrtle Beach, or if you're talking Miami, South Beach, then even though the rent may be low for a place where you might have a tenant, you may be able to flip it in a sense that using it for Airbnb property. But that has a whole different set of risks and challenges that you have to be able to calculate as well.
Right.
So you want to look at it, is it near a particular sports stadium? So, when those games are being played, you can still rent it out in those particular situations as well.
Mhm.
So, what time of the year is it that it's coming online? Because people move a little bit differently when they're about to put their kids in school in August and the end of the summer versus how they move in the winter. In the winter, as you guys know, we're all under this ice. Don't nobody want to come outside. No one wants to come and look at anything or try to purchase anything or get into any long-term strategies of that nature. So learn to use your environment, your seasons, and the things that's around you to be able to frame it a bit better.
Yeah, and the numbers will tell you. So what we're looking at to figure out how it makes money is basically, how much are they going to pay for the property? What is the projected rental income? And what location is it in? So the second way a property can make money is from appreciation. Your cash heavy landlord, they're more focused on appreciation. They're going to drop that money into that property because they know it's a high value area that every year that property is going to go up 20, 40K in value. Let me ask y'all this. How can an investor benefit from appreciation?
Equity.
Yes, it's an equity play. So someone who has a lot of money, they're now looking at the money they dropped into this property becomes a bank for them. They are able to spend a little bit more money up front to get in high value areas that are going to go up more over time than a property that say in a very low poor market that may go up in value $1,000 or $2,000 a year. That's another money play. Appreciation is basically like money in your pocket when you get into a high value market. And that's a match for your cash landlord investor. They love appreciation. These are the buzzwords you're going to want to look for. Monthly cash flow, that's going to be your creative finance buyer. I want to find a low interest rate and a low monthly payment so that I can charge more money for somebody to rent it out and make cash flow. Yes, Sakura.
Is there a minimum on cash flow you would recommend, like at least $500 or $200 just to have a safe cushion?
Yes. So every investor is going to tell you how much cash flow they want in your margins. These are questions that we're going to ask our buyers so that we already know if this is 300 in cash flow, this is not for my boy Dan. But my boy Mark is fine with $300 in cash flow. That's going to be investor specific. For Stacy and I, we want at least $500 in cash flow so that we can put at least 200 every month into reserves. And then when you close on the property, the taxes and insurance are going to go up. So you don't want it to eat up all of your income. Okay.
Sorry, would this be considered the cash and cash return?
Yes, cash on cash return works across the board. It's basically the amount of cash you put in to how much money you make monthly based on what you put into the property. So cash on cash will be a percentage. People say, look, I want at least 8, I want 15. Fix and flippers want a 15% cash on cash or 20%. So great question, Tevin. Yes. All of these investors are going to want to know based on how much money I put into it and what I get out in a year, how much money did the money I put down make me per year? That's what cash on cash is. And we will go into definitions in our second module. This is just helping us identify what we're looking at before we jump into underwriting stuff. And we're going to do a live example and after we get through these questions so that we can really break it down, work together to solve it, and ask questions. Okay? So speed and spread are who? Who cares about speed and spread, y'all? Y'all know this one. And if you don't say the right answer, it's okay, y'all.
I don't know. What's speed and spread?
So, how quickly the deal gets done and how much money comes out at the end. Who cares most about that?
Private
I
money lenders?
Could it be fix and flippers?
Yes, I'll fix and flipper. They want to get in the deal. They want to get out the deal because remember, they have hard money costs and they got holding costs for having that property on their books. That fix and flipper wants that property rehabbed and resold right away so they can make more money on the deal. Any questions?
No, no, that was good.
Okay. Okay, so if we don't know how the money comes out of the deal, we don't have a deal yet. We just have a lead. Okay, because if the money can't flow out and it doesn't match one of our avatars, it's not a deal for anyone. It may be a retail sale, which is not a deal that we just need a retail buyer for it. All right. Question number 3, y'all. What problem does it solve? If there is no problem, there is no deal. There is no opportunity there. There has to be motivation. All real opportunities exist because there is a problem, a seller problem, a buyer problem, a capital problem, a timing problem. People will pay y'all a lot of money to solve a problem in a short amount of time. Get good at solving problems quickly, and you will always have money. Okay, so help me determine some real problems that people have that would make them have to sell or buy a property.
Divorce.
Yes, that's a good one.
Probate.
Probate.
Avoiding probate.
Yes, both of those are court mandated. Death, great one. Yes. What problems would a buyer have in that we would help them solve?
Inability to finance.
Yes, they don't got the money. Foreclosure. Okay, yes, we actually have some really successful investors that have been through foreclosure and came out on the other side. What about someone that has a timing problem? What could cause someone a timing issue? Military. Yes, they got to relocate. They got to go right away. This is the stuff we are always sniffing around for. Y'all, I don't care where I'm at. Most likely, with all of the chaos going on right now, wherever you are, there is someone in the room that needs your help.
Before we move on, I just
Yep.
thought of something. But because of the military, I don't know why I never thought of this before. Why don't we try to position ourselves to the military where it's like, hey, do you have to move really quickly?
Yes.
Reach out to us and we'll help you sell the property. I know
That
that they
would be
usually go
great.
through agents, but like those agents are probably taking crazy amount of commission, but also they're probably taking too long listing it. It's like, hey, I already have a network of buyers. What are you looking for? And we just hit the ground running. Give me 30 days versus, oh, let me hope this sells on the market for
Right. I love that, Tevin. And this is why we have these
on top of that.
masterminds. And when everybody brings their ideas together, that's a phenomenal idea. Guess what else? A lot of military buyers have low equity because they have to sell it within 3 years.
Yeah,
And
they
if
never
they,
stay long.
yes, and if they overpaid when they first bought it and then the market came down, they're now in a pickle.
So well.
So here's the last buyer that I haven't told you guys about that Stacy and I are curating relationships with. Hedge funds. They buy low to no equity deals, but that is a relationship. Just like our cash buyer landlord, you have to build that relationship and you have to bring them good stuff that's off market and they will buy it. So, Tevin, to your point, we could position that to military relocation and say, hey, we actually have some hedge fund buyers that can buy that property without you having to go on the market. So, great idea. Let's make that come to fruition. Woody Ladio.
Amen.
I love it. Thank you, Tevin. Anything
Yeah.
else about problems that what problems does it solve, y'all, before we move on? This is great feedback. Okay, y'all ready for question number 4? Question number 4. What capital does it require? And capital isn't just cash, y'all. Capital can be credit, it can be time, it can be experience, it can be risk tolerance, it can be operational skill. Like RV parks need an operations manager. Some deals are cheap in dollars, but expensive in skill. That's creative deals, right? I got into my first deal just using my experience, not necessarily capital. So think about that when we're having these conversations. What is required for this deal? And that further helps you. All we're doing, y'all, is funneling our buyers so tight that when we bring them something, they're going to say yes with their eyes closed. That is the end goal. Bringing people opportunities that they can't say no to. Is everybody on the same page with that?
Yes.
And that's why this part is so important before putting numbers into a spreadsheet. Because if we don't know who we're gearing and targeting this for, we're not looking for the right information and to answer the right questions for our buyer. Okay? So, everybody good? Can y'all run back what I said? What capital does it require? What are some of those types of capital? Just want to make
Credit,
sure you hear.
operations, timing, actual having the capital and having experience to move forward. So
Nailed it.
yeah,
Okay,
it's not
y'all.
always about money.
Yes, it's not always about money, but it could be. So I love that. Question number 5, y'all. What exit is most likely? All questions 1 through 4 did was help you try to figure out which buyer is this exactly for based on the information that I've gathered. Okay. Not possibly, not hypothetically, not most likely. If your exit plan starts with hopefully, it's not an exit plan, y'all. So when I'm looking at these properties, the first thing I'm always trying to see if I'm looking for a buy and hold investor is, does this property cash flow monthly? A buy and hold investor is buying this property to make sure that they can make some margins on that rent. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then say this operator also loves co-living. Is this a great area for co-living for this person? Let me see if there are any local hospitals. Are we near a military base? Is there a university that doesn't have enough housing nearby? Is there an airport nearby where I can put flight attendants and pilots in this property? So now we're digging in a little deeper. Is there an HOA that doesn't allow co-living? Okay, we need to remove co-living as an exit strategy here. Is this a high appreciation neighborhood and there's no margins for the rent? If it's a high appreciation in a neighborhood and is maybe $100 or $200 upside in rent, who is my buyer, y'all?
Buy and hold.
Cash heavy landlord. They want appreciation. They don't really care that the margins are small right now. They in it for the long run. They know that in year 2, 3, 4, they're going to be able to raise the rents and the margins will get bigger. They can afford to hold on because they rather get the appreciation every year. All right. So what if the property, what if the property looks terrible? The owner has been there for 30 years. It's a hoarder's house and it's basically they want to give it away. Who's that buyer?
A flipper.
Yes. Now, I think the hardest differentiator for everyone will be the type of buy and hold buyer that you're looking for, because there are a couple different ones. So I think that I should clarify that. Sakura, do you have clarity on the different types of buy and hold buyers, or do you think we should touch on that?
I think we should touch on it just for the video's sake.
Okay, excellent. So guys, buy and hold buyers can want and do different things. Okay, so we talked about that cash heavy landlord. Okay, he's a cash buyer that's going to buy and hold, but is more focused on appreciation. Stacy and I, even though we're creative operators, we're still buy and hold investors. So we want that low entry, we want all of those things, but we still want cash flow. Then you have people like Jamil. He's a buy and hold investor, but he's a BRRRR. He does the BRRRR strategy, meaning that if the property needs some renovation and he can renovate it and make it worth more money to then do co-living, he wants that property. Whereas Stacy and I, we don't want any renovation. We want a turnkey property. So all of this stuff is buyer specific. And the more questions that you ask your buyer, which I will create a curated questions buyer list. I know we have one. The more clear you will be on what deals to bring them. Any questions or comments on that?
No, none.
All right. Now, do you guys want to know why people look at the same deal and disagree on if it's good or not? Okay. Because retail underwriting can be emotional driven. It can be payment focused. How much money do I need to bring to the table? Again, this is all buyer specific stuff. So when people say your deal sucks, don't take it personal. Take it as I don't have the right buyer in front of this, right? People look at it as, can I afford this? That's most likely a retail buyer that just got approved to purchase a property. Now, investor underwriting, they are return driven, metric focused. What are the numbers? Does this hit the margins that I have to buy this deal? So every time an investor tells you no to an opportunity you put in front of them, always say, why? Or what would you pay for this? If they would say, I would never buy this deal, you've totally missed the mark. If they come back with a different number, then you're just a little bit off on the numbers. Okay. Then we have our operator underwriters. Those people are system driven. They're exit strategy focused, like all the deals we get, they have multiple exit strategies. In case something happens, we can flip that deal to do something else with it so we're not stuck with the property that doesn't perform. We're also heavily focused on the capital and the numbers of capital awareness. And can we execute this deal cleanly? At Eminent Estates, we don't underwrite like shoppers, we underwrite like operators. So that's our style of underwriting. Okay, so most people are learning this creative financing and stuff backwards. We're learning subject to, we're learning seller finance, we're learning novations, but we're not taking the time to understand who the deal is for, to understand the structure that we put on that deal. So let's do a live case study together to make sure that we all on the same page and that we understand it. So I'm about to drop this information in the chat. It's not a real property. It is a hypothetical situation. Okay. All right, y'all. So we have 123 Maple Ridge Drive, Baltimore, MD. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, 1450 square feet, built in 1954. It's a row home. The asking price is $210,000. The after repair value, everybody clear on what ARV is?
Mhm.
Okay. ARV for anyone watching live on Zoom is after repair value. Basically, what are we projecting that the property will be worth once it's fully renovated? So you have as is, whatever the property is worth in its exact condition versus fully renovated. And when people look at ARV, remember they're computing all the numbers of financing costs, holding costs, closing costs, realtor costs. So that's why if any sellers are listening, you feel like you got some lowball offer, really it's based on, all of those costs and the property's current condition. So we also have the estimated rental income. Not only do we project what the property will be worth on the back end, we also project if I have a buy and hold investor, what would this property rent out for in its new great condition? Then we have to say, what kind of renovation does this property need? Does it need everything? Meaning a new roof, HVAC, all of the things? Is it a medium? It needs new flooring, cosmetics, kitchens, bathrooms? Or is it light? Just meaning maybe a paint touch up, maybe some flooring here and there. Okay, so this one says light cosmetic rehabilitation. And this has been on the market with the real estate agent for 21 days. All right, so based on just this information, we would all be like, this might be a deal, right? But the real question is, who is this deal for? Can we answer that question by just looking at this?
You can frame it.
Mm,
But can we truly answer it?
no,
Nah.
you need way more information.
That brings together everything that we've been talking about, right? We see numbers and we be like, all right, I'm gonna send this deal over. And sometimes it looks like a deal based on the numbers. But what matters most for us to figure out if it's a deal?
The margins.
And what else? That number
The
one, yes.
entry fee.
The motivation.
Yes. Before we can even think about margins, what is the story? Why are they selling this property? Because I can't truly figure out what the margins are unless I know what the real motivation is. That's what makes us different at Eminent Estates. We're not going to say, okay, you gave me this property. Now let me go ahead and just fit you into a box and say either you're going to list it on the market or you're going to sell this to a flipper. I don't even have a story. Now let's hear when we hit a story if we can identify who this deal should go to, y'all. I just want to say the numbers and the motivation are two separate things, but when we bring them together, that's when we curate the solution because now we're categorizing, we're sorting, we're putting it where it needs to go. So y'all ready for the story?
Yep.
Mhm.
The seller is in their early 60s. She's owned the property for 18 years. She bought it for about $395,000 18 years ago. Her remaining mortgage balance is $158,000. Her interest rate is 3.25% fixed. Her monthly PITI is $1,050. Her tenant just moved after being there for 6 years. The seller now lives out of state. She wants simplicity, not headaches, and open to a faster, cleaner solution. Who is this deal for, guys?
Creative.
Yes, it's for your creative operator. But based on the numbers that we just saw there, we would have never matched this with the creative buyer. We would have tried to squeeze these numbers and put it in front of a flipper. And a flipper would have told you this deal sucks. And Stacy and I would have said this is a slam dunk.
Yeah, you definitely need that motivation because she's an out of state. The PITI is low. The
Hmm.
interest rate is amazing. You're not getting 3% anytime soon. Anything probably lower than 4. So yeah, this is perfect for a creative
Yes.
operator.
But do y'all see how basically, and let's go back to the questions, right? So now we got to go back to frame it from scratch because I hope that that was eye-opening to say, here are the numbers and here's what I think, but here's the story and what would be best for the seller in their particular situation, not what's best for Jael, Eladio, Stacy, Sakura, Tevin, Max, Renetta. We're doing what's best for the end user. We're keeping their goals in mind and we're curating a solution specific to them. That's what makes us different. That's what separates us. And that's why we have to be able to identify who this is for and then match it with the other right who. Okay. Who's our seller? Who's our buyer? Did anybody have an aha moment?
Me, I do. I
Was that
do.
helpful?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So just like, you have different types of banks that finance different types of
Yes.
vehicles. So
Yeah.
you have some people that finance BMWs, you have some people that finance Chevys, and then you have some people that finance bikes.
Mhm.
So, it just you got to figure out what solution works for the problem that you have.
And
Remember, we
yes.
keep our solutions in that back pocket, but in real time, you are trying to figure out what solution fits that problem right there.
And
Make that
y'all,
problem hurt. Make that pain point
yes.
hurt. And then our solution seems like we're coming in saving the day.
And we are most of the time, y'all. So when we having these conversations and we're doing our underwriting, we need to be like, man, we about to save somebody's life. We are about to bring this buyer, investor, the best deal that they've ever had because it is so on point to what they need. We are bringing solutions. We are making real estate easier for people, our sellers and our end buyers. That big deal that we closed, literally, it flew off the shelf because the numbers were so on point that investors hadn't seen numbers like that in so long. And we still sold it to someone that actually had a lower purchase price than the other offers we got. Why is that? You leave meat on the bone for your buyers. Those buyers come back and they make sure that you're taken care of. When you send them a deal, they're answering right away. You're not chasing them down to check their email. That's the difference. That's how you sell and you get stuff done with making sure that the investor and the seller experience is unique to them and finding a problem. Anytime you find a problem that you can solve, people will pay you money to do it. We're identifying problems, then we're creating the customized solution. That's all we're doing. And if there's no problem, all we're doing is sorting. Next, next, next. Where's the problem? Where's the problem? Who has a big problem? Ooh, that's a juicy problem. Let me go solve it. That's what underwriting is. Okay, so let's break this down in the eyes of the different buyers, right? So we can even really take this all the way home. So this deal that we just talked about with our 60-year-old seller, our traditional landlord, this is what they're going to say. Max, this is tech cash flow is way too tight for me. The house is too old. It's going to need repairs. And this return is just not what I'm looking for. You're like, okay, let me take it. It's okay, but it's not exciting. I'll pass or I want to offer a lower number to the seller. Okay. So then we come to our cash fix and flipper. These margins are too thin. This is way too risky for me. This is not enough spread. Too skinny. I'm passing. We go to our creative buyer. They're going to say 3.25 interest rate, $1,000 payment. Seller doesn't need the cash. Property is stabilized. What, Sakura? We're going to say, can I keep that loan? Can I control this with skill instead of cash? What does this look like long term? I'm in. That is what it's all about, y'all. And when you get that excited buyer, it feels so good. They will freaking, oh, explain PITI for people that don't know. Okay, boss lady. So for anyone that isn't aware with the PITI, it's the principal balance of the mortgage. It's the interest rate. It is the taxes, monthly and annual. You're going to want to look at that because I mentioned taxes go up when you purchase the property, whether it's creative or traditional. And then it's your insurance. If you have an FHA loan, the insurance and the taxes are actually wrapped into your mortgage payment. Whereas a conventional loan, you do your insurance and your taxes the way that you want to do it. You can get your own private insurance and you can shop the rate every year. And you can also pay your taxes annually, biannually, or whatever you want to do. Any questions?
None.
Okay. So
I
again,
have a
y'all.
question. Under what circumstances is does PITI not fit? Like, are there any potential deals where you don't have to worry about PITI?
No, because again, you're always going to want to know because if you have a mortgage, that person has to be able to afford the monthly cost, whether that be with cash flow, money out of pocket, or whatever that may be. PITI is always the most important thing. So even if I have a client that qualifies for $1 million, I always tell them because of the interest rate, you need to focus on what you're comfortable with paying monthly. Forget about the approval amount. The interest rate is going to affect your monthly mortgage payment. So that's why everybody was going crazy with the 2 and 3% interest rates because it increased their purchasing power. But that purchasing power increase got people in a lot of trouble because they overpaid for properties. And even though you have a lower monthly, you're still paying more money over time. So it's the same thing. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that part. But I always say, do what you're comfortable with monthly. So PITI is probably more important than anything, and it's more important than your approval amount.
Well, what if you have a buyer who's just going to pay cash for the property altogether?
PITI does not matter in that case. It won't even be on the table. Yep. So that person, that's why I tell my cash buyers are really the only people I advise to buy condos if they're really interested in them, because all they have to worry about is the condo fee. There is no mortgage plus condo fee. So I always encourage people if they really want a condo and they want the amenities to do it in cash so that they don't get in trouble with mortgage as well as condominium fee on top. And that's the stuff we're going to underwrite for. So get ready. So, you guys, what I think is the most important is that we understand the nuances before we get to the calculators, right? And then most of the stuff I underwrite, I use AI. But if we don't understand what the basics are and the fundamentals of underwriting, you can't double check AI and know when it's made a mistake. So this is great to know it the long by hand way. It used to take us 2 and 3 hours to underwrite a property. So y'all got it good. All you got to do is learn the basics and then use AI. I use AI for underwriting now, but I understand what to put in there and I understand what the output should look like and how to cross reference. So that's what you all will be equipped to do through these 8 weeks. Okay. Any questions before I close it out? Any feedback? Whatever y'all got, I'm here to answer. Eladio's here to answer. My mom's here.
So, in my opinion, this should a good thing you guys should be looking at is the news. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the news is gonna tell you where some good deals are coming. So when you hear about new developments, like the big thing that's going on around the country right now is these data centers. So the data centers mean that new people are gonna be looking for new homes and new opportunities are gonna be arising from that. Now, what happens when you are just getting a new job? That means that you don't necessarily qualify for FHA or conventional loans. So now that means that you could potentially have a buyer that might need some creative financing. So now all that started from you looking at the news and seeing that in Richmond, shout out to Sakura, they have a new data center coming that way. You know what I'm saying? Or even in Northern Virginia. So that's me and Ronetta. They have data centers coming that way, and things of that nature. If you see any new universities, any type of growth coming out that way, those are the things that you want to kind of look out for. Even if you find something that's starting to have high crime areas,
Hmm.
because people feel like the deals are coming in those high crime areas. So if you find something where these kids is bombarded in that particular area, start to do some research. What is the real estate market looking like over there? So just look for creative ways to be able to find a reason to get over there and talk to people.
Yeah. It's opportunity everywhere, y'all. So, a good exercise that we can do throughout this week is anytime we say, I'm missing something, replace it with what you have already. Because what all we need to do these deals and to underwrite these properties and to be proficient is to listen and to talk. That's how deals get done. 80% listening and then talking. And again, every time you're out, identify opportunities, a problem that needs to be solved. We're in the problem solving business. And to Eladio's point too, if you guys really like an area, go down to the city, get the city plans. They already know what they fitting to do for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And if we can target areas and buy and hold markets where something great is coming and get in early, that's a very strategic move. Tevin, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was gonna see if we could if we could go over how to structure a creative deal. I don't know if that's too high level for this or not, but I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. I understand wholesaling,
Mhm.
and fix and flippers and kind of what the buy and hold cash heavy landlords need. But I think where I still need education is structuring a creative deal,
Yes.
understand the four parts of it, where it's the timing, the down payment, the interest rate, um, and I forget the other one. I'm blanking, but nonetheless, I
Loom,
understand all
all
of.
of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like if I'm the one creating it, what is favorable? What is what's going to pique someone's interest?
Do you have the creative finance chart?
I do.
Do you have
So
it where you can pull it up and share the
y-
screen?
yeah, 1 second,
All right, let's do that and then
or I
tap.
can at least put it into the thing.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because what we'll do, this is a progression so that we don't leave anybody behind. But if
Hmm.
you guys have more time to do this throughout the week instead of only on Saturdays, we can do the 8 modules quicker and go to the sales part. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is something we're definitely going to cover. I just want to make sure a lot of times, I know that you already know how to wholesale, but if we don't have the basic and the foundational things, creative becomes a whole nother monster.
Yeah. So I just put it in the chat. It's like how to want to know how good your deal is on a scale of 0 to 10.
Mhm.
And I guess this probably would be the best
This is your
scale.
starting point.
Yeah.
Yes. Any deal that's a slam dunk for us creatively, especially if we have to bring in a private money lender, that's going to be a 5% or 10% or less entry fee. And
Hmm.
as you can see, Pace calls anything with 5% or less entry fee a 10 because he gets zero down deals. We talked about the entry fee when we talked about fix and flippers. That's any cost that has to be covered with the money we have to bring to a deal up front. When that comes to creative, that's going to be cash to seller. There may be cash to an agent involved. There may be renovation costs involved in this property, and there may be back payments that we have to bring for this seller. So for us, if the property is worth 500,000, oh, also closing costs, then we want to be all in on that property at 50 grand out of pocket. That's a great deal. Now, as we go higher with that entry cost, the deal becomes less desirable for people. Most likely this person may not have a lot of equity. So again, the margins become thin. So if there's no rehab needed, That's a 10 for us as investors because now I can get a renter in there right away. The more rehab that's needed, the worse the deal is. Okay?
Yeah. So I guess when it comes to like the file that I shared, that is definitely going to be super helpful. Anything below 5% because interest rates right now are basically like 5.4, I think I saw. So at that point, you're basically paying below what normal interest rates are. But if
Yes.
you can even get like zero, anything between 0 and 5
Is a
is
great
amazing.
deal. Yes. So Tevin, use this. Anybody here save this chart, y'all. It's also in our school community. This is your basis to check. I just go through column to column. And once you get a number for each column, get the average of that number. It'll scale your deal for you. So, oh, this is an 8 out of 10. This makes
Yeah,
it so simple, right? But we have to understand the nuances of the entry fee, of the interest rate. 5% or less most likely means that we can cash flow it in any market. Sometimes we're seeing we need to be at a 4.5% or less. So we're going to put these pieces together and do some mock creative deals, Tevin, so that we can understand each piece and how it pertains to deal specific.
exactly.
Okay, so if we want to do these modules just quicker instead of just every Saturday, text me in the. I actually started a new group chat to add Eladio and Renetta. But yes, Tevin, we're going to go in depth with this because I believe in all of you guys' abilities. And Stacy and I have been doing too much alone, and we need you all's individual skill sets and the great things that y'all bring to the table to help us move the needle forward quicker. And the more that you know when it pertains to underwriting and all of that good stuff, you'll feel more empowered sending out those LOIs and, with the numbers that you're presenting to the right buyers.
Exactly. Yeah, because right now I'm in the position where I need to be creating the deals as well as like knowing what's good. I think I've gotten to the point of knowing what's good, but I think I need to know like what is like a any buyer gonna want if I bring it to them. It's like if I've structured it for them versus like,
Yes,
hey, I
Tevin.
brought something to you.
And
I think that's just where I'm at.
that's a deal engineer. That is the hardest but level, but guess what it means? It's a level of mastery, right? So I don't want anybody being hard on themselves saying, "Oh my God, I should be a deal engineer." It takes looking at a lot of deals, analyzing a lot of different scenarios and messing up a lot to become a deal engineer. I still don't know everything and I know how to engineer deals. So, say it was a novation. I still have to refer that out to someone that does novations. Don't be afraid to be an expert at what you're an expert in and outsourcing to the things like multifamily underwriting. I understand the nuances of it, but I'm not going to bring an investor to a multifamily deal that I underwrote. I'm going to outsource that to my multifamily underwriters. So you will
Yeah.
absolutely be able to engineer deals, Tevin. But if it's something you don't know, get somebody that's great at it, learn with them on the call, and then bring that skill set back.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just where I'm at is like trying to be a deal engineer.
Yeah.
I understand a good amount of creative and like cash deals, but it's just like creating the like, hey, I reached out to this person. This is the situation. I've already negotiated everything. These are the best
Yes.
strategies. I don't know which one you're looking for, but like if you want to go this route, this is the numbers that you need. If you want to go this route, these are the numbers that you need. Like this is what the seller, needs for themselves,
Mhm.
and each of these will, cover it. So that's just really where I'm at.
Kevin, you're so close. You are right there. You have all the expertise and knowledge. Now we're just going to do practice scenarios, right? So once we finish this, you guys will have homework. All right, here are the example scenarios. What are the answers? Who's our buyer for this? And that's going to come from this one. And when we do the creative one, here are the properties, the numbers, and the scenarios. What did you come up with? And then we go through that together, y'all. So, Tevin, for now, any creative deals you come across, use this chart and rate the deal. Let's start there, okay?
Yeah, yeah. I think I've gotten pretty good at just looking at it from the beginning. It's like if it's not below 10% entry fee, I'm not looking at it.
Mhm.
If it's
But
anything
some
really,
people, But remember, Tevin, it depends on your buyer. Some
Yeah.
people will buy 15, 20%. I just helped an investor in our community close a deal, and they came in with about, I think, 100 grand to help out the seller, wipe out his debt. Whereas that wouldn't have been a deal for me, but they had their own money. They didn't need a private lender. That was a deal for them.
Yeah.
So let's not disqualify them. Let's just say this is where it is. Who is the right buyer?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we're gonna reframe it. Who's the buyer? This is not a deal for Stacy and Jael, but who is it a deal for?
Yeah, and it's like a combination of things. So it's like the interest rate, well, not the interest, but the entry fee might be high, but like the interest rate is really good. It's like, okay,
Yes.
well, the interest is like or something. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of solid, but like obviously the entry fee is higher because it's a bigger property or it's more turnkey. I'm like, you know what, this is actually solid. I would just need to find someone. And that's or it's like, hey, the HOA is there, but there's no restrictions or like
Yes.
it's like a mix of things. So
So
yeah,
what
it's
we'll
truly
help you do, Tevin, is start fishing for buyers that need things that we keep coming across, right? So if we
yeah.
keep coming across high entry fee deals with great interest rates, we need to go
Mhm.
find our buyers that don't mind coming in high. They just want a great deal for appreciation.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yes,
Well,
and we
not
can
kind of,
do that.
that's where I'm at.
Excellent. And that's why we went and found the hedge fund buyers so that we can sell those no to low equity deals and stop passing on them. We can go in all the Facebook groups and get all of those. Here you go. So we're going to pivot and find the right buyers for certain deals and then focus on the deals that we know we have a bunch of buyers for. If you find a 70% ARV needs rehab in Alexandria or Arlington, Stacy and I will get that deal sold in freaking 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Certain areas I just know are going to be solid.
Gonna fly off the shelf, the
Yeah,
period, because everybody wants it. So great questions, everybody. And Tevin, I'm glad we got to touch on this so that everybody can hit the ground running. Any comments or questions from anybody else? You know, I
um,
don't want to keep y'all too long on this good old Saturday.
no.
Okay. All right, so this will go into the school community, and then I will send some practice scenarios so you guys can identify the buyer and use that as a reference. All right. So here's the takeaway. If you tried to wholesale to the wrong buyer, the deal would die. If you tried to flip this, it would disappoint. But to the right buyer, there's always a great deal for them. And this is why we teach underwriting this way. Because if you don't know who a deal is for, you're guessing, not underwriting. Next week, we'll start touching numbers, but only after thinking correctly. If you want Eminent Estates to help you underwrite deals, the link will be featured in our description. If you're interested in joining our community, please apply using the link below to see if you qualify. And next week, join us live every Saturday at 10 a.m., where investors with integrity transform lives through real estate. I will see y'all next week, and you guys, you will be receiving an email from me. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Have a good weekend.
bye.